we are surrounded with instant connections, quick emotions, and endless digital noise. The idea of true love found feel uncertain. Yet, behind all the distractions, we still carry a deep human need to be seen, to be understood, and to be truly loved. A very warm and pleasant good evening to everyone. I am Piyusha Nagrale, and it is my joy to welcome you to this thoughtful session of the 7th Orange City Literature Festival organized by Raisoni Foundation. This evening, we explore a timeless question. Is true love still possible in an age full of distractions? Or has love itself changed with the world around us? To help us reflect on this, we have with us a truly dynamic personality, Mr. Karan Oberoi. So please, welcome you. Please have a seat. Saya and Jassi Jassi Koi Nahi, inside age. His performances has stayed with audience across the country. He is a founder member of India's iconic Band of Boys. With 7 albums to his credit, Karan has also a best-selling author with 2 published books, 8 more on the way, and 2 already adapted for film. His upcoming book, Love at First Sex, presents a bold, fresh take on modern relationships. Behind the scene, he has produced and co-written Mukhbir, one of Z5's most successful series, honored with major awards and international recognition. He now stepped in as writing, directing, creating India's first binaural special music audio film. As the founder of Crooner Records, he continued to support original music talent. His recent single, Chuppi, has already across 10 million views. This evening, we look forward to a candid conversation, not just about love today, but about the creative script that drives to multi-talented artists. Now, joining him is the graceful and inspiring Miss Monica Bhagbagar. Ma'am, please have a seat. Ma'am, please.
Miss. She's called me Miss. I'm so happy.
Designer, social entrepreneur, educator, and a powerful creative voice. With academic degrees in English literature, sociology, psychology, and MPhil in English literature, and qualification in advertising and PR. She brings both intellectual and imagination to every role she takes on. Her journey spans ITC, journalism, hospitality, education, and leadership. She is the creator of Paper Age, a premium designer stationery brand, and a founder member of the V7 Care Foundation. Her achievements include multiple awards, including Femina Power Woman of the Year, and recognition from Navbharat Times, known affectionately as the Paper Tigress of Nagpur. She actively hosts conversations with leading authors and artists across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, with 2 such vibrant personalities on stage today, the next 40 minutes promise to be honest, engaging, and truly insightful. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we now hand over the session to our distinguished conversationalist. Over to your dignitaries.
Impressive and exciting tenure, wouldn't you agree? So Karan, tell us at the very outset, what makes Karan Grover tick?
Karan Oberoi, actually.
Sorry.
But Grover is a friend of mine too, and he's
so
a great
my
actor
apologies.
on television. But that's okay.
So
Monica.
I personally, and I must say, I have to make up to you.
Yeah.
I have to say that I personally love your line describing yourself as a restless soul, romantic life.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. But that seems to be the mantra of my life anyway. So I'm sorry, you were what was your question that you want to do?
What makes you tick? Because you
What
have
makes me-
so many roles you play. So,
The fact that I enjoy the journey more than the destination makes me tick. So what I do is one of my inherent philosophies in life is if I don't enjoy the process, I don't want to reach a goal that does not satisfy me. So the idea is that I do things that give me joy with people that ensure abundance and a joyful disposition around me. So everything that I do comes from a great place of heart and a certain fulfillment because I'm working with people I like. So whether I chose to do a record label, which is what I think you very nicely introduced, called Crooner Records. So the idea is that I want to encourage and amplify talent, especially singing talent, for the originality, not for the digital thumbprint. So the idea is we do not select people based on how many followers they have or sort of a tribe that they have. Even if you have 2 followers and your parents follow you and just 2 members, as long as you have something original and authentic to say, I want to partner with you. Similarly, when you mentioned Mukhbir, the idea was that all the people that were part of the tribe were very focused in wanting to make it a success, wanted to bring out the best in each other. So, and I think that contributes to the element of fulfillment while you're doing the show, and then the results are there for all to see. So, what makes me tick is the fact that I do things that give me joy.
I think that's one particular mantra we all should adapt. At any age of life, do something that gives us joy. And strictly that shouldn't be the social media. So, your latest book, Love at First Sex. We've grown up on Love at First Sight.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very intriguing title. Yeah. Please do tell us about the book. And of course, the byline says that she doesn't do love and she doesn't do casual. Now, I'd like to understand what does that mean?
See, the idea of love is something that is all pervasive, all prevailing. It stays true for generations. But the modalities change. People, become emancipated, they grow up, they start to absorb things. The world we inhabit in 2025 is a lot different from how it was in the 1940s or 60s or 70s or 80s. And as authors or writers or creators, you always observe and absorb people and understand how the world is functioning. So the story borrows from how the modern relationships are shaped, where sex is not such a sheepish issue to talk about anymore.
Today.
We are fairly open about it, and it's available on swipes, left, right, up and down, whatever the case may be. And people are not apologetic about expressing what they feel, especially women. And which is, in one way, beautiful because they have the choice and they can make that choice, and it brings out certain balance about how things ought to be. But in that maze of hedonism, sometimes things get lost. So, and people tend to get lost. You don't, that you are fulfilling your desires, your physical desires, but a part of you sometimes in that process gets lost. So this book basically sees the journey of Anvi, a woman who says very unabashedly that I love the pleasures of the flesh, I like sexual dalliances, and I don't want society to judge me for it. And as an author, I have now taken a very prejudicial opinion on that. I'm saying, well, great, it's a story of a woman who enjoys sex. And then she encounters a man whose desires are, or maybe his needs are not so much about sex, more about intimacy. And he has a certain touch which is imbued by affection,
right.
Almost close to divinity. And how these two people come together, and she feels very differently with this man. And now she's conflicted because there's one part of her which wants the hedonism of saying, I want many sexual paramours, and there's part of her that wants to be valued and cherished, that this man brings into her life, which is to give her respect, space, and also give her immense amount of affection and respect. And how these two then, wade through the relationship or the lack thereof is what the book is about, which is why it's called Love at First Sex. The idea is that you were having sexual encounters with many people, then suddenly somebody touched you in a way that you'd never been touched before. And that seems to be magical and enchanting. And now she's conflicted. And what does she do after that is the journey of the book.
Yeah, but getting off the book and the points that you made, do you think that today's woman is far more emancipated and she's more vocal about her sexual desires, or perhaps that she recognizes her needs, but then our society in the Indian setup, it's dominated?
No, I think we've kicked patriarchy's butt a while ago, I think, and we've all acknowledged that. Men have acknowledged it, women have acknowledged it. It's just percolating down to the BC center slowly. But in the A centers, SSCA centers, women are very emancipated and they are very expressive how they feel. And the younger generation, I'm so happy to see that they have a point of view and they speak without filters and they speak without any fear or reprisals, which is wonderful. I mean, your ability to speak your mind.
But that is a particular a particular section of the society, Karan. Yeah. I don't think everybody yet is speaking openly about sex to their parents or to their siblings.
Not yet.
No?
No, but they're talking amongst themselves. They're expressing it. It's happening all over the space. See, sometimes a change takes time for it to sort of percolate down. Just like patriarchy has taken 5,000 years to sort of take a headspace in our head, this will take time, but the journey has started.
Women and the book will lead you towards it.
Books, so basically what are poets and authors and writers? They reflect society and they're mirror to society. Unless we have these conversations and unabashed conversations about this, nothing will change. So the idea is that you talk about these things, you bring them, like I said, my first point while writing it from a woman's point of view was to not to have any prejudicial opinion about it, saying as a man, how do I feel about a woman who expresses herself sexually? Well, great. She's an empowered woman, she feels a certain way. And when she meets a man at certain crossroads, how will she react? Ideas to be more sensitive about this.
So that was my next question. You said, is your writing by any chance influenced by your colorful, interesting life?
I wouldn't call my life colorful. I wake up at 5 a.m., sleep at 9 because I have to write my books, I have to do my riyaz.
Colorful, I meant in a positive manner. Okay.
No, I'm sure it is colorful in that sense, but usually the connotation is that
are not such,
I mean, if I was sexually very active, I would be fairly unabashed about that too. But having said that, so how do you see society? I mean, what does the poet do? There are experiences that you have personally, and then there are vicarious experiences that you live through others. So there are couple of things are very important. That you're sensitive. You don't sit with any kind of value judgment. If you want to absorb somebody's ethos, the first thing you do is allow them be. Because if you give them the safe space of saying, I'm not judging you, they'll express themselves. Then you watch and observe. And what you learn from them is, if you're sensitive and emotional about things, then you are able to get a story.
Right.
But these are, a lot of time, some of them are your own stories, but some of them are also something that you've experienced with others. You've seen somebody go through a certain gamut of emotions. You watch them without any lens, any filtered lens, and you get a story, you get an idea, or you get an emotion. Because as filmmakers, as writers, our problem is, and it has happened with a couple of our very good directors, that they've gone ahead and used their life experience to tell stories, but after some point they've started to repeat themselves. Right. So every story seems like a story that they have visited before, is just an offshoot of that story. In order to sort of not fall to that sort of syndrome, it's very important to just observe and be accepting of whatever is out there in terms of whatever you see.
So I don't want to shock or be intrusive or personal, but
you can be. One of the things that I told Monica, one of the things that I said when we were discussing what kind of questions, and I always tell this to people, please do not tell me what you're going to ask me, because then I will fake it. If you want an honest answer, please go ahead and fire whatever you want to, and I will, in all my honesty and integrity, give you an honest reply.
Did your love life influence your writing?
Always does. Always does. All my poetry, even the song that I've just released called Chuppi, which talks about the person that feels like home. And Chuppi basically says, and I personally feel this, that there is so much noise all around us. If you look at social media, there are opinions, there's trolling, there are opinions on opinions, and there is lashing, there's verbal lashing. Everyone's sort of now trying to bring somebody down because of their own unhealed traumas. With all that noise, then there's pollution, there's population. Sometimes love is that beautiful feeling that you sit next to them and you say, no words are needed, because they drown out the noise which comes from outside. And that person is the four walls of a home. So it's not the walls of a home, but that person becomes home. So Chuppi is one of those expressions.
So love, I think, is very, very,
it's a
very
beautiful
wide
emotion.
spectrum. It's beautiful at certain ages, I feel. When you're married for 36 years or 40 years, you're coping with the different definitions of love. So I think you have a very poetic view of love.
Well, I think poetic, utopian, whatever we call it. So I'll always say, one of the things that I always say is, it's great to be crazy in love. Try be consistent.
not going to be love with life, love with people.
No, everything. No, I'm saying consistency matters. When you start seeing someone, when you first meet them, you first say, like, hey, beautiful, and you send them a good morning message, hey, good morning, gorgeous, etc. The same person 5 years, 15 years, or 36 years later is not gorgeous anymore. It is. But the idea is, are we putting that effort? And you know, whatever you put an effort in, whether it's art, whether it's creation, whether it's story, whether it's love, it'll give it back to you because you handle it with that sensitivity and care. Right. And the problem is that we take it for granted. Now I have the person, now she's not going anywhere. Why should we need those little efforts are the magic sawdust of life, which is what we call romance. So so you can see someone for 10 years and still make them feel the most valued person around by those little gestures. It's not the grand gestures that matter. So remember, I was dating someone and she said, you know, every time we were dating from across states, and she's an actor in the South, and is now a big star there. And she said, you know, every time I land there, I want you to come and pick me up at the airport. And I said, that's wonderful, I'll do it once. And she said, I said, no, I can't do it every time because, she says, why? We need to have a chat. I said, great. So she landed from Bangalore and we went on a coffee date. And she said, why did you say no, and such a brazen no? Why would you not come and pick me at the airport with flowers? I said, because I'm not so sure I can do this for the next 25 years consistently. I could be busy somewhere. But what I can tell you is, I'll treat you with respect. I'll give you love. And if I tell you, good morning, gorgeous, be assured for the next 25 years, you're going to get it in the same softness, the same romance and same trajectory or same affection as I would. And I think
you come and talk to all our husbands.
Yeah, sure.
Give them this gyan. 25 later, hello, gorgeous. But I'll tell you something very interesting. I was just noticing yesterday I was here to moderate Riri Trivedi. You know her.
Yeah.
She's into mental trauma and depression and stuff like that. And there were lots and lots of all college students. But today, there are all of us here. So the dynamics have changed because they want to hear Karan Oberoi talk about love, sex, marriage, whatever. Okay, so carrying on to the next question, that what is really love? I mean, in today's world, I think it seems to be a very, very flimsy word and feeling. You think it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling.
Experience. Yeah.
Experience. But is there really true love, and does this truly sustain?
Of course it does.
No.
I don't know.
Are you married?
No, I'm not. But
you that's that is why you're saying it.
But you know what?
Relationship.
I'll tell you that.
No. You first answered that. That'll help us understand you better.
Yes, I am.
Chalo, theek hai, carry on.
Okay.
Lucky girl.
So the idea, magic only happens to people who believe in magic. The problem is we start to see, after some time, we don't see love as magic anymore. And that paves the way for a lot of things that happen. Now, love is not between a man and a woman. It is also between parents and children. I have so much love for my parents that it overwhelms me every time I talk about it. I've just written a song called Parvarish last night, and I'm going to be recording it when I go back now, which says that when I came from this beautiful ocean of love that my mother put me in the world, and I saw her as an infant, when I saw her looking at me with tearful eyes, she gave me a lot of solace. That solace stands even today. And same way like my father picked me up on his shoulders and said, I'll carry you every time you fall, that stands true even today. I value that relationship just the way they value me, which is why it's a beautiful bond.
It is.
And unless we create that mindset of valuing people, nothing will change.
So I do feel in today's world, as you rightly said, that relationships are undergoing a lot of transition, a lot of change, and the good old thing, that the good values that you had towards your parents and towards your children, your older relatives, has taken a battering. I feel that around us, but it's heartening to know that you have a lovely relationship with your family, and I hope we all also inculcate that. Going into my next question, I think I've been shown the card also, so I'll quickly rush up because I want to ask some questions, interesting ones. Yeah. In today's generation, I think we take sex trifle easy and we are a little casual about physical intimacy.
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
So do you justify or endorse sex before marriage in our Indian context?
Yep.
And another point, that more importantly, has the social media put pressure on today's youth to behave as they do? And since there are no youth here, I would also say all of us, middle age, higher age, whatever, all of us also.
I would like to have the youth here because I would be a nice, interesting discourse with them,
Yeah.
but maybe next time. But to answer your question, The minute I sit, I've always joked this with my friends. I say, one day I woke up and realized I was not Jesus. That was the day when I had the most cathartic moment of life. I'm saying, who gave me the right to judge
True.
anybody or anything for their sexual mores? Whether it's Indian, Mexican, American, doesn't matter. The minute you create, see what happens is, when does trauma happen? Trauma happens with control. You can't do this, you should do this, you can't, this is not, that is what creates the sort of space that we exist in. And that's when you start to succumb. A very secure, safe person will never succumb to anything. They'll do it by choice. So if your choice is you want to have multiple partners, so be it. Who am I to judge? You don't want to have multiple partners. I mean, you think there's a nice, you want relationship with just one person, so be it. But it has to be driven by choice. It cannot be governed by our idea of how it ought to be. Society is us. We are society. We decide things for ourselves first, and then we try and fit into some sort of a system where, everyone else also contributes. But I think the present generation is unabashed about their sexual exploration, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're doing safe practices, and that is something that can be taught to them. But like I said, traumas are always created out of control. I'll tell you one of the things that I always talk to in my relationships also is, like somebody asked me, if my girlfriend used to ask me, would it be all right if I went out on a date with another man, or I did this? So I said, don't ask me. The minute you ask me, you're giving me the power to decide for you. You decide for you. Because that gilded cage that I'm going to create for you by telling you what you can or can't do is only going to create trauma. You will inadvertently want to escape free. So Osho used to say, there are two things that are important for a man to be happy: love and freedom. Both don't seem to coexist in relationships.
For a man as a woman also.
For human beings, it's important to have love and freedom. And either of them are sacrificed either in a relationship or in a marriage. So then what's good is the marriage serving then? It's not serving any purpose. Because somewhere you feel I'm answerable to my husband, I'm answerable to my wife, when am I going back, when am I going to come back, what am I doing, why am I doing this? That control is not okay. So the idea, and I've been asked this very, very brazen question by someone that I'm dating, said, would it be all right if I went out and slept with somebody? Because you seem to have such open-minded, things about, expressions about things. I said, that's the choice you make. Because if you feel that I have not been able to fulfill all the spaces that I need to, and you feel that still there's a physical desire that needs to be fulfilled outside of it, go ahead and express yourself. And that's okay. It's something that's very, very big to tell someone. But what is the net result of that? And she said, well, I had many opportunities. I just couldn't go through with it because I just felt so safe and felt that you didn't want me to do it, and you gave me the freedom to do it, and I decided I don't want to exercise it.
So it came from within.
Yes. So the desire to do anything, to be a part of anything, to exist with someone or not be with someone has to be a choice that you make by yourself, happily and gleefully. Whether it's love, whether it's career, whether it's writing, whether it's expressing through music.
Yeah, but I think it's easier said than done, Karan.
It isn't. Nothing is easy.
But it's a separate topic altogether. I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get on to that as well. So my last question is that what I'm finding today, hearing all these very weird cases, murder in the, what is it called, that barrel, and stuffing in the fridge,
Yes.
tandoori nena, so my question is, do you think that today's women are using a lot of tactics and strategies against men to their advantage? Because I do feel that today's men are also vulnerable. There is emotional abuse, there is emotional trauma towards the men also. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, of course, if you give me a Tommy gun and tell me you're not accountable for it, you can fire at will, and at best you'll be docked 500 rupees, I will use it. It's as simple as that. Power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if the legal system allows for absolute power, you will become corrupt, and the gender will become vulnerable. I am saying the idea that you look at men and women through any sort of a lens about how men ought to be or women ought to be, whether they are Venus, Mars, Neptune or Pluto, is a fairly sordid one. My simple submission is, men and women, if you're a true feminist, are created equal. They're only physiologically different from each other. The minute you find acceptance to that, any wrongful practice against any gender would trigger you. So if I'm saying, if a woman can file a case, can do anything and get away with it, she will use that power because she's no different from me. She's another human being, just physiologically different. So when you're making those legal provisions, just be cognizant of that just like a man is susceptible to corruption, so is a woman. So when you see it from that lens, we keep talking about patriarchy. When you make a law which treats a woman like a child, it's the first example of patriarchy. You've said she doesn't have the brains of her own to be able to make her own choices. So she's either been coerced into something, a relationship, or a promise of marriage. She's a grown-up woman, treat her like an adult. Don't treat her like a child. That itself is patriarchy. So you're not securing the rights of that particular woman. You're making it worse for the other women who are real victims. So that's my, yeah.
I've been shown the board again of the time. I still want to argue with him, not discuss with him.
That's all right. I'm so used to this. Like I
Yeah,
said, even when I go on radio
a lot of
interviews.
things that you're saying, I mean, it sounds very, very churlish to say that a lot of things that you said apply to the women of the cosmopolitan cities where the men are more open-minded. In tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities, women are still, little limited in their thinking.
Sure they are. I didn't say.
So, it's difficult to go by what you're saying.
You don't have to. That is a fun fact. The reason that you and I can sit here and have completely opposing point of view without me getting agitated by it is the beautiful aspect of a discourse, because it allows the freedom to express and freedom to be. So if you decide that, look, I don't agree with your, or I don't conform to your ideology, I'm saying that's wonderful. I'll celebrate it. So everything that I write is, like I said, when I write about sex, I'm not writing from any prejudiced lens. Someone that I've observed has gone through those gamut of emotions and been through a certain space, and I'm saying, great, it's an inspiration for me to write a story. So I take their permission, and I'm saying, will you be all right if I was to put this in? And she says, yes, I would love my story to be out there. I said, great, and I write about it. The idea, Monica, is that we don't let people be. The idea that we must control every aspect of their life creates unnecessary trauma. I don't have to be convinced with your logic, and you don't have to be convinced with mine, and we can still gleefully exist in the same ecosystem, which is beautiful.
Okay, very quickly. Any interesting questions? We barely have 5 to 10 minutes left. So
Please fire away. I'd love to
Mike.
engage and interact. Yes.
So this is for you basically. I know what will come, but this is for the audience. I'll ask, when you write for such kind of topics, because you are an actor yourself, you are also into music, do you feel that writing, like many people may not approve of it, does that come to your mind that this is going to affect my fan following or this thing for my, as actor or as a musician?
So I'll tell you what, any true fan would like me unfiltered and without pretense. That's why a true fan.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants me to be a model of what they expect me to be is me living a lie. I'm not okay with that. So you like me for the fact that I'm a man of integrity, speaks his mind without filters, without pretense, without wanting to make anybody happy, but speaks what comes truly to me across spectrum, whether it's my music, whether it's my writing, whether it's my acting. The sincerity and integrity is all that matters to me, because that's my fulcrum around which I oscillate. So I'm never worried about any kind of reprisals. My first book was Battlefield Brothers, which is about my father and 3 of his brothers that fought the 1962, 65 and 71 war as war heroes. My second was Rockstar in Reverse, which is about a very self-deprecating look at the music industry and wrongful practices. Third is Love at First Sex. Fourth is Subterfuge, which is about global espionage. Fifth is Immortals, which is about multiverses of the Hindu philosophy. And then there is Tears of the Monsoon, which is about my puppy that died he lived with me for 15 years, and he inspired a story about the joy that he gave me. So it's the most honest experience that I have with somebody that I articulate with as much honesty as possible. Someone will like me for it, someone may not, and that's okay.
Anybody else?
Hi, sir. So, as we're talking about modern love, so as there is a little less number of youth, I would like to ask, as a youth myself, that as we're here to talk about modern love, as I said, people today, the point that you made about, love and freedom being two more very important aspects of a relationship, right? So I feel like the definition of freedom for our generation is basically to not commit.
Yes.
And if you're the point of reaching the kind of love that you're talking about, I don't think that is possible without commitment. So what would be your perspective on that?
So the idea is that if I impress upon you that you have to give me a commitment, then it's a gilded cage again. But if you feel that I can't do without this man because he gives me such a safe space to be me, then that relationship will last. Otherwise, what will happen is, like very rightfully she said, jaded marriages, whether they are 15 years, 20 years, 35 marriages, the reason for that is that you are forced into that commitment. The commitment of love must come from within. And I know it sounds utopian, but there are people that I've known. I've known my best friend who saw the girl that he finally married when they were in the 8th standard. They've been together for 30 years and they're very happy because they just are very free with each other. And that freedom is very, very important and it's a lens through which I see them, and their children are grown up now, and I'm saying, wow, I mean, because I've seen them through their childhood. They're together, and both of them have only seen one. I mean, the only gender that they've seen, any experience that they've had is with the other one. But because there's innate sense of freedom and no forced commitment, they've existed for so long.
Yeah, before that quickly, just give her the mic please. I've seen a lot of young marriages around me going stale very early in their marriages, which is really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi Karan. My question is, yes, definitely your topic is little bit of bold and it's really the need of today's era. Being a counselor and being a clinical psychologist, I have seen many of the people, because you guys only gives us that Bollywood's dreamy lovey-dovey and that, that emotional connectivity when it comes on the love. I feel that there might be some thin line of differentiation between love and sex according to you. But in today's era also, many of the girls are getting depressed, they are getting traumatized. Few of them, like ma'am says, they are committing the suicidal attempts and all. So do you think that still our Indian culture, because yes, we are the representative of India only, still we are little bit of lacking behind towards understanding this topic and coming up with such kind of freedom, so coming up with such kind of things. Yes, you can explore if you wish to share the bed with someone else, once you just go ahead, no? Do you really think that it will work for the youth? Because again, I would like to connect with her. The commitment is the basic tradition in which we are grown up. And this commitment, if it's going like this, I think somewhere we might be lacking, or we might be creating few kind of loopholes which may differentiate love into the physical desire or the intimacy. I just wish 2 words from
I
your
think
side.
she also needs a lot of conditioning.
Yeah,
We've
so
all been
actually what,
conditioned.
let's not talk about Indian culture, because I'll be speaking for the next 6 hours, because Indian culture is a very nuanced outlook in life. You want to talk about Indian culture, then we go back 5,000 years and we study from the Harappan all the way down, and how all the invaders that invaded us, from the Mughals to the Mongols to the Victorian morality of the British, basically imbibed and called it culture. Our culture is depicted on the walls of Khajuraho. That is also part of our culture. So let's not go down that route. I will need a lot more time to explain to you. And you need to read a lot before talking about not you, I mean, we as a society, if you want to tom-tom the Indian culture, then let's read up first. Let's spend maybe a couple of years reading about what our genesis is, then talk about the culture. So that's one thing. The other thing is, you said about commitment phobic and about how women are going through trauma. Of course, social media is doing that. There's a lot of pressure of capitalism. I wrote a song called Numaish, which says, take off your clothes and get validation from men, because that seems to be the answer to your question. But eventually, you will lose your innocence and your purity, or whatever, your sense of balance, because you're now a please all, the button is the please all space. So don't do that. So it's a lesson. So I'm saying any conversation around this topic is a more nuanced one rather than a very rigid one. So yes, as a practitioner I mean, when you're talking to people, you must be getting their real world views about man. And this is how I write too. I meet people and I get their sense of, sense of self, and then I write my stories. It is a very nuanced debate, but it needs to be had. We need to have the conversation around love to understand the true essence of love. I'll tell you, let me simplify the definition of love. If you were to ask me what is true love, I'll say true love is in spite of. Now fill the universe in front of it. Ideal, yes. But hey, when you want to build a home, you want it to be the best, no? You want it to look a certain way, feel a certain way, and it should feel like home. Why should a relationship be any different? So when you create those aspirations, which is real aspirations of how love ought to be, then you'll find your answer. But if something that we need to have a talk about, we need to be having an open conversation. If there were kids here, and I sat with the rigid point of view saying, you know what, against Indian morality, against Indian society, against this, against that, you'll shut them up. I used this last year also, and I'll tell you again. बच्चों के छोटे हाथों को चांद सितारे छूने दो, 4 किताबें पढ़ के वो हम जैसे हो जाएंगे. Let them express.
Very nice.
Also,
Thank you so much.
it
Thanks
looks
a
like
lot.
the men here are pretty sorted and the women have all the questions. I think we are absolutely on the edge of the time, so we'd like to hear you sing.
Okay.
So we can wrap up this session.
Okay. Since we are running short of time, what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to, so if you can just pick up your phones and start recording, it'll be nice. I'm going to show you a video that I've just released called Chuppi, and all the conversation around love will be epitomized with that video, and then I'll sing for you live. Sounds good? So are you ready to see the video? So can I have the video, and then I shall render it for you live.
Nice. That's a great bonus. Thank you.
That's fine, that's fine.
बैठ यहाँ कुछ मत बोल, तेरी चुप्पी भी है अनमोल। जब दुनिया के शोर से थक जाता हूँ, तेरे सिराने बैठ सब भूल जाता हूँ। तेरा स्पर्श भुला देता है दुनिया के डर, जहाँ सिर्फ प्यार और सुकून मिले तो ऐसा है घर। महफूज रहूं यहाँ पे, सारी दुनिया जहाँ से दहलीज पे छोड़ आऊं सारे डर, तो ऐसा है घर। महफूज रहूं यहाँ पे, सारी दुनिया जहाँ से दहलीज पे छोड़ आऊं सारे डर, तो ऐसा है घर। सारे डर, तो ऐसा है घर।
Please give a big clap.
So, I hope that sums
मैं
up
सिर्फ
what I
3
was
घंटा
saying.
आपसे मांग रहा हूँ। इस 3 घंटे
Sorry. I hope that sums up exactly what I was philosophizing about. Chuppi is about saying nothing, but the person feels like home because you feel like a safe space for me. So when I feel safe, I express without prejudice, I express with love. And that's what makes the world a better place. And we need to talk about it, and as singers, songwriters, we need to sing about it. Anyone that wants to see the video, Karan Oberoi official Instagram, for all the people who are taking videos, please tag me. These are memories that I carry into my sunset years, and they become very valuable for me. Not just because you want to grow your tribe on social media, because you also want to carry memories that were so special. So please do that, and you can just pick up your phones and I'm going to sing this for you, just to...
बैठ यहाँ कुछ मत बोल, तेरी चुप्पी भी है अनमोल। जब दुनिया के शोर से थक जाता हूँ, तेरे सिराने बैठ सब भूल जाता हूँ। तेरा स्पर्श भुला देता है
दुनिया के डर, जहाँ सिर्फ प्यार और सुकून मिले तो ऐसा है घर। महफूज रहूं यहाँ पे, सारी दुनिया जहाँ से दहलीज पे छोड़ आऊं सारे डर, तू ऐसा है घर। सारे डर, तू ऐसा है घर।
This is Karan Oberoi. Please have a big clap for her.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
No, that's fine. That's okay. I'm like I said, I'm used to body shaming, age shaming, all kind of shaming, and I just take it in my stride. I'm just kidding. Not gory? It sounds better with the guitar.
चाह तुझे है जहाँ से भी ज्यादा, तू ही मेरा प्यार गोरी, तू ही मेरा प्यार। पालू तुझे तो पालू जग सारा, तू ही मेरा प्यार गोरी, तू ही मेरा प्यार। तू ही मेरा प्यार गोरी, तू ही मेरा प्यार। याद है वो नदिया किनारे, पनिया भरन को आना, लहरों की हरकत पे गोरी, हल्के से वो घबराना। नाजुक पैरों का तेरे एकदम से फिसल जाना, मेरी बाहों में तेरा गिरना, धीरे से शर्माना। ओ चाह तुझे है जहाँ से भी ज्यादा, तू ही मेरा प्यार गोरी, तू ही मेरा प्यार। पालू तुझे तो पालू जग सारा, तू ही मेरा प्यार गोरी, तू ही मेरा प्यार। तू ही मेरा प्यार गोरी, तू ही मेरा प्यार।
So much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being a wonderful and such an attentive audience. You know, sometimes when you're in a performative art space, you know when somebody is hearing you. You know that they're attentive. So it has immense value for someone who's speaking when they can be heard, because all of us want to speak and all of us want to be heard. True. So the idea is when you're here to listen, you're adding value to that human being. So, and any more such gyan, you can actually connect with me on Karan Oberoi official Instagram, and I'd love to have more of a banter later on about this. But thank you so much for being a wonderful audience.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for an enriching and heartfelt conversation. Your reflection on love, distraction, creativity, and authenticity have undoubtedly stirred new thoughts in every listener's here. Dear audience, I am certain each of you is walking away with a renowned perceptions and relationships, modern intimacy, and the courage to seek love that remain true, even in a world that seldom pause. Thank you.